Hello everyone. I wanted to take some time today to talk about the P90X2 nutrition plan and how I've implemented it and how it's been working so well for me. So let's start out by talking a little bit about the P90X nutrition plan. In the P90X2 nutrition plan, it starts out with determining how much you should eat. It actually starts out with different plans that you can use, like 50% protein, 25% carbs, 25% fat, 40% carbs, 30% protein, and 30% fat, and so forth. Okay, and then in the P90X plan, there is also determining how much you should eat, which is not an exact science, but basically you can do some trial and error and you can do some calculations. For me, I basically figured out that 2,400 calories a day is about what I wanted to shoot for. So both of those are in the P90X standard diet plan, the original P90X. After that, if you look at the original P90X nutrition plan, it just has a bunch of recipes, and so that did not click for me because it wasn't, when I looked at those recipes, those weren't necessarily feasible for me to make every day and not necessarily things that I liked to eat. So I just it didn't click with me, and I kind of abandoned it and did my own thing at that point, which wasn't the best way to go about things. So with the P90X2 plan, one of the main differences that they've done is they've created a food list. And with the different plans that they have that I mentioned before, like the 50, 25, 25, and 40, 30, 30, once you pick the plan that you've done, and I'm doing the 2,400 calorie 40, 30, 30 plan, it will tell you how many proteins, how many dairies, how many fruits, vegetables, and so forth that you have each day. And then it will give you a list of what is a protein, what's an acceptable dairy, fruit, vegetable, and so forth. So what I did was I printed out the food list here, made a copy of it so that I could look at the food list and the plan at the same time. And so I could say, okay, I need 6 proteins, let me go pick those. I need 2 dairies, let me pick those, 1 fruit, and so forth. And what I did was I actually looked at the food list and I picked out the foods that I liked, because I don't like everything on here. I don't eat flaxseed oil that much, I don't really eat chia oil. So what I did was I narrowed this down and just typed them into a spreadsheet which had the basic core foods that I'm going to eat every day. Okay, and let me just go through those foods which I've laid out here just to give you some ideas. Okay, so so I get 6 proteins a day in this plan. Alright, so let me explain what some of those proteins are. I have eggs, of course, so I do like 6 egg whites is 1 protein serving, so I might have that with dinner. And what I do is I usually hard boil the eggs and throw away the yolks and just eat the whites. Another thing is lean ground beef, so let's see here, where am I? Lean ground beef, 3 ounces is 1 protein serving, so sometimes I'll have 6 ounces for dinner. And I try to buy the healthiest kind I can. This particular type is a no antibiotics or hormones added vegetarian diet, humanely raised. This one I think is about $4 a pound. You can also go to Trader Joe's and they have a pack like this that's grass-fed, and it's $6 a pound. So I usually go with one of those 2. There's also something like this which they sell at Whole Foods, but I also can get this at BJ's and they sell it in a 2-pack. I highly recommend looking for these things at your warehouse club, because it's going to be much more cost effective that way. I get my eggs at BJ's, I get ground beef at BJ's, and my turkey at BJ's as well. This is another thing I find at BJ's, another protein, is sardines. I never really had sardines that much before, but they're really tasty. They're in olive oil as well, which gives me one of my fats for the day. And another thing that I forgot, let me swing around here, is this chicken, which you should also be able to get in your warehouse club. This is Purdue Shortcuts all natural ingredients with no preservatives. So that's another protein option. So those are pretty much the proteins I eat for the day. Okay, so let's see, let's move on to, what order am I going in? Okay, let's move on to dairy. So with dairy, it's pretty simple. With dairy, pretty much my almond milk is what I have, or cheese. You have to try to get reduced fat cheese, and there's also a vegan cheese which I really like that I don't have available right now. Okay, that's pretty much my dairy. Fruit, it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, some grapes or clementine, something like that. Moving on to vegetables. For vegetables, I like doing, buy these once again at my warehouse club. Celery. I like to get the hearts, just the celery hearts. It makes it easier to work with. I don't have to do a lot of cutting and things like that. Keep this in the fridge at work. And I have 4 stalks of this with lunch usually. By the way, I've been tracking a lot of what I've been eating on myfitnesspal.com. So I'll post a link underneath this video, or more, you know, 1 or more links, so you can go and look at these things as well in MyFitnessPal. Other vegetables, once again, Warehouse Club, organic spinach, frozen broccoli, and frozen green beans. And the way I like to cook my vegetables is a tablespoon of olive oil in a pan, heat it up, pour the vegetables in, and just warm it up with some salt and pepper. Speaking of olive oil, that gives me one of my fats for the day as well. Moving on, next, fat. I get 1 of those a day, so it's usually pretty much nuts, you know, peanut butter or olive oil. A couple different types of peanut butters here. This one, once again, I get at the Warehouse Club. I can get 2 of these for $7. A little bit better is this type of Earth Balance peanut butter, which is a whopping $4.50 for this container. So this one's more expensive, but it's really awesome. Alright, moving on, we have grains, which I get 1.5. Okay, so a couple of different types of grains here. I have steel cut oatmeal, and the way I like to make that is to pour 1/4 cup in a glass bowl, fill it with almond milk, put it in the refrigerator for the evening overnight. In the morning it's ready to go, and I have that about an hour after my workout. Another grain is Ezekiel Bread. You'll find it in the frozen section of your health foods section of your grocery store. It's a really awesome bread. 1 slice of this, I believe, is 1 grain approximately, give or take. Moving on, we have Legumes and Tubers, which I get 1.5 of those a day. So once again, peanut butter falls into that category, as well as quinoa. This quinoa, once again, I get from BJ's. I highly recommend trying to find this at your health foods, or at your warehouse store. I saw about half of this much at Kroger today for $6. This is a 2-pound bag I can get for a little over $6 at BJ's. So definitely recommend that, and it's organic as well. If you've never had quinoa, it tastes somewhat like rice, and it's a great substitute for you know, a starchy carb like rice. It's actually a seed from South America that is very high in nutrients as well as protein and fiber. So I highly recommend that. That's been a key to my success in implementing this P90X2 plan. Next is condiments, which I don't really eat. I get 1 of those. Organic ketchup usually I might have. And then snacks, I'll have a P90X bar or a Power Crunch bar, which I usually have pre-workout. Sometimes I might have a Trader Joe's granola bar. And then I'm also allocated P90X Results in Recovery formula, which is here. I mix 1 scoop of this with the 1 scoop of whey protein to give me one of my proteins as well. And I have that after my workout. And then, where am I here? There's also a Shakeology in there, which I have that as a mid-afternoon snack. And the way I like to make it is I have this with 4 tablespoons of this Trader Joe's organic hemp protein powder. That gives me basically 2 servings of protein, I believe, for the day, 2 or 3. And I like to mix it with 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. So that's kind of a la carte how I've put everything together. Just to go through a sample day, let me see if I can walk through a sample day real quick here, because I don't want to take too much time. Okay, so pre-workout, once again I'll have a bar and some coffee. Post-workout I'll have my recovery drink. And then breakfast, and on this particular day I had steel cut oats with some raisins, gives me my fruit. Lunch I had my smoked turkey breast, celery, 4 stalks with peanut butter, 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. And then I had 1 cup of quinoa with my lunch. I had a slice of vegan cheese, and I actually also had 1 slice of Ezekiel Bread. Snack I had my Shakeology, which I mentioned before, with the hemp protein. And then dinner I had red meat and a slice of Ezekiel Bread and frozen broccoli, and also some spaghetti sauce. So basically I had like a spaghetti sandwich kind of a thing. So as I said before, this has really just made a light bulb go off for me. I've actually been doing this about 5 days a week and kind of slacking off a little bit on the weekends. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I hope that you'll be able to adopt this type of a plan as well, which is very simple. And feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Good luck.